This is Ashawa, right? And here we discuss basically cultural heritage, language based conversations, and all that, right? So we're supposed to have a guest today, but he's not going to be able to make it because our guest, reached out to me and said, his child has today is his child's birthday. So just told him, come on. His priority. We can always reschedule. So we're going to be having him on Wednesday. That's maybe no Mari on Wednesday. So I want to give a special shout out to, our birthday celebrant for today. Special birthday shout out to Jega Omari. Happy birthday from all of us at Tayari.Live. We wish you a great year, an amazing year. I mean, every of the stuff that your parents desire for and that you desire for yourself. We wish you great accomplishment in this new year. Okay, so that being done, I've done this before, but again, the audio of the entire stream wasn't too good from inception. So yeah, that's being said. So I was going to say that before I jump into what I have for today, that in our last session, we had a few comments from some of our listeners, and I really appreciate the fact that we had people, who are giving their opinion about some of these things. It's not taken for granted. Thank you so much for your comments. They mean a lot. Helps us to do what we are doing way better. Thank you. So I'm just going to address some of those comments before I then move into exactly what I have for today. So like I said, I said this before, of course, before I knew that the audio for the entire stream wasn't too good. So I had shared this with one of my colleagues before now, and then I was trying to clarify that I understand the fact that when people give comments with respect to an excerpt, it's primarily because, of course, they've not had that privilege of going through the entire stream to know exactly what was said. Before we go to that point, where what was said. So I don't consider it as maybe an attack or something at all. So more, of course, free speech, and we're very open to also hear from you to know exactly what you think about what we are doing. All right. So that being said, so I'll just quickly touch base on the comments. So we had two specific comments that I actually want to touch base on. The first one is from left at Jabroni Drive, right? Left at Jabroni Drive. I hope I am not murdering your name if you come across this content again. So he says, or she says, it is worse to not speak the native language that educates you. And I think that is very profound. It's a very profound contribution. It is true that it's worse. So where all that came from, basically, let me see if I can play, the video where
because you were from England, right?
the
All right,
video where
says
all that
that
came
if
from.
the
So
child is
here it
only
is.
exposed to English at school,
Yeah.
they will shift away from their heritage language within just 1 to 3 years.
Yeah.
This risk skyrockets in smaller communities or mixed heritage families, right? This is from Wong Fillmore, 1991. That is from 2020, 2002 studies, right? That for the first formative years of any child, if they switch away, if all of their learning, if
So basically, that's it. I don't want to use the entire session to play the entire video, but basically, that was the part where I said if a child between the ages of 1 and 3, if they switch away from if a child is only exposed to English at school, they will shift away from the heritage language within just 1 to 3 years. So basically, that was where that comment came from. That, and I think so in the bit to I mean help to gain perspective, I said that I remember when I was in school that people would laugh at you if you did not know how to speak English, right? So and of course that was my experience when I was in school, and I think I remember doing the same as other people. Yeah, so that was then, right? So we know better now. So that was where that comment came from, that I think it's worse not to be able to speak the language that educates you. So I was saying that I think that's really where the problem comes from. That the problem is not being able to speak the language. It's what he points out about the language that educates you. So think about it. Imagine if physics was taught in Yoruba, or physics was taught. And check if we have any language. Okay. Imagine if physics was taught in Yoruba, or geography was taught in Swahili, or whatever other local language. Because and I think, for an example, where I come from, it's a bit unfortunate that um, the subjects that addresses the native language or your local language, they are optional. For an example, in Nigeria, through your um, secondary school education, right? In most schools, I can't speak for every school, but I think in most schools, the local language like Yoruba, Igbo, Hausa, in the educational system is optional. But English, maths, chemistry, but of course, depending on whatever field you're going to be, I mean, diverging to, they become optional. They are compulsory, the others become optional, right? The local language is optional. And I don't think that is good. That is definitely not good, because that's really where this entire thing stems from. That there's no, at least at that level of education, children don't see any global value to knowing their local education. Imagine if the reason you did not go to the university was because you did not pass your local language compulsorily. Like, you passed every other thing. You passed English, you passed maths, you passed every other thing, but you did not pass your local language. And that's the reason your A levels, sorry, not A levels, your O levels doesn't pass you on to the. Of course, I use O levels because that's what we use in Nigeria. I think maybe West Africa as well too. Your O levels, I mean, it's not validated as good enough, right? So what he says is very true. That it's actually worse, you know, when the language that educates you, you don't know how to speak it. So I think the challenge is that maybe we should begin to look into having, you know, school courses, um, having the courses that are very pivotal in quotes to global relevance. So we should start looking at having those. I'm trying to imagine, chemistry in Igbo. It sounds funny, but I think to a large extent, if everyone knows how much of value is attached, of course, chemistry is valuable globally, and then now you now attach a language to chemistry, it makes it more valuable. So it's more like a value rubbing off each other and all that. So I think this comment actually points out a bigger problem. That the bigger problem is that we are educating ourselves with the language that is not native to us. And of course, it's not far-fetched, it's because global value. I think I said it before. I mean, I figured that the audio was not good. That again, I give it to the Western world, right? Because most of the industrial revolution that the world, or most of the valuable changes that have come into this world, the computers and every other thing that you can think of, have come from them, right? So it's inevitable. And well, I don't want to go into those conversations, because that's really not what all this is all about. I am Ashawa is basically to project how imperative it is to know your local language, speak your local language, and not be entirely disconnected. Again, so I want to clarify this from every single thing that has been said, because I'm still going to touch base on the second comment, that this is not to say that, you know, learning English is the problem. No, we're saying, in as much as it is great, I'm going to be sharing some what's it called, amazing facts with us about, you know, children that are bilingual, meaning people who can speak more than one language. And I really encourage people to be able to speak more than one language. I mean, maybe your local language, English, and then one other country's language. For example, I fancy Spanish. I know a bit, but not so much. Then English, and I can speak Yoruba. And then maybe just a little bit of Swahili. Big shout out to my mwalimu, Diana Mekubo, who taught, me a bit of Swahili, but I mean, not that deep, basically. But that being said about that, I just wanted to clarify that this is not really about saying that, you know, English is bad or anything. I mean, as long as the nation, the country that is bringing the most global value, its language will most likely be widespread adopted, of course, because again, it's a value game, basically. So that being said about that, let me shift and pivot to the next one. So this person said this is well, I can't pronounce the name because it has alphabets and number casing in it. But big shout out to you for commenting on our work. So the person said you are conflicting things. The first formative years are not the same as the first school years. From 1 to 4, the kid should learn the native language at home. At school, they are taught the foreign language. As long as you keep up both the languages at home, there won't be a problem. Better yet, the kid has a solid foundation for learning more languages because their brain is wired for it. I say this from my own experience, that of my son and of my people who have a language spoken by less than 500,000 people worldwide who grew up with multiple languages from infancy. Most of our native speakers can speak 4 languages fluently by the time they reach adulthood. And that is powerful. I think this is great. I mean, if I had my way, I think I'm actually going to reach out to this person to see if we could bring them, because I'm really interested in this experience to see if we can bring them on the show and hear from them live and direct. And I think this is true, right? So again, I think this was from me saying that the first formative years of a child and all that. So she was just trying to clarify the fact that school years is different from formative years, and I understand that the fact that I understand what he or she's trying to say. But my assumption is that this person is a lady, but let's not make any assumptions. I understand what they're trying to say about how formative years really speaks more towards maybe the adolescents and the teenagers and all that compared to school years. So she calls age 1 to 4 the school years, and I understand what she's trying to say, right? But irrespective, I think the point here is what she has said, which is where the value lies. That, and I think it's also one of the things that we shared, in the last session, which is also one of the things that I'm going to be emphasizing how important it is that as the school is doing the work of teaching the foreign language at home, the child should be interfacing more, all right? Should be interfacing more with the local language. All right. I have family friends, I have people I meet at social places and all that, and I see how much of how much some parents don't take this very serious, right? So this, like this person said, the school is doing the hard work of teaching them the foreign language, but then most of the times at home it's still the same foreign language that they're hearing in communicating, telling them to go get things, telling them to do stuff and all that. So what this person is saying is really true, and it doesn't conflict in any way. I understand that maybe where she had that issue was probably my choice of words of formative years and all that, which is what I like the fact that like she said that for her own local language in the space of the childhood up to the adulthood, they can speak 4 languages. Amazing. This is really what we are pushing for, right? At Tayari.life. They should be able to not just speak, you know, um, just English or whatever foreign language, depending on whatever country that you have relocated to, but you should have that neat grip on your local language. All right. So thank you so much for passing this comment. I mean, it just reinforced every single thing. I mean, like I said, I'm going to make effort to see if we can bring, this person to the live show, hear from them, hear from their perspective. It's it's what they've said here. It's really spot on, right? I actually like the result that follows this. That you know, having gone through that part of ensuring that at home, the only thing that the children are hearing with respect to communication is the local language. And then outsourcing that responsibility of learning the foreign language to the schools that they attend and all of that. So thank you so much again. Again, for everyone who takes time to comment on our work, we are very grateful. Thank you so much. I'm trying to see if there are any other child comments on the dem, but no, we don't have any. So great. Thank you so much again. This is Ashawa, everyone, if you are just tuning in, and this is where heritage, it is where um, language learning and heritage um, issues are discussed. Basically, thank you again for joining. I want to encourage that you should subscribe, like, and comment on on our work. Would really love to hear from you, and of course, whichever ways that you feel that we can make this better, we're very much open to feedback as well. So today, I'm going to be switching over to what I have for us, which is just going to be strengthening exactly what my last um, audience, commented about. So basically, I'm just going to be sharing some facts. All right, facts actually pulled out from science. You know, fact actually pulled out from science. I'm going to be sharing some of those facts with us. These are things, like I said, we don't come here to just say things that we feel they are happening. These are things that are properly researched. Before we bring them to the public and all that. So here are some of the things that science has to say about bilingual language. So bilingual simply means you can speak more than one language, primarily two, right? Because of the word bi. But of course, we categorize that around people who can speak more than one, basically. All right, so these are 7 researched baked facts that will make you want to teach your children your mother tongue. Number 1, kids who grow up speaking 2 languages develop stronger focus, sharper memory, and better problem solving skills than their peers. Think of it as a daily gym session for their developing minds. Now, this is from Bilingualism Review of 2023, multiple peer reviews journal, right? So, it's clear. Um, well, again, I've not done any science to be able to, but again, like I said, this facts are, they are researched, that kids who grow up speaking 2 languages develop sharper focus, right? Well, I strongly want to believe it's just because of that work that actually does for the mind, right? Um, having to, because I know that it takes a lot, at least at a fundamental level, to be able to communicate with different languages, because of course each language has its own dynamics. Now having to be able to now master, because really where the hard work really is when it comes to learning anything is mastering the dynamics of that particular thing, not just understanding. I know a bit of programming, so I know that there's a what really makes, one of the things that makes good programmers is not just being able to write syntax, but being able to understand the underlining um you know the underlying way that the architecture works, the architecture of that program, how it works, the dynamics. That's really how you can then be able to solve problems with it, right? So language in itself too can be thought of as a tool. So the degree to which you understand the dynamics of the language, somehow that it's like a, how do I put it now? It's like a positive side effect. Not it doesn't happen directly. So I think I agree with this, that if you can have your mind shift from using different languages as you communicate over the years, of course, your neural pathway already knows, you know, is used to that adjustment, pop, 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 and all that. So I actually I agree with this. I don't have a particular, of course, I don't have a particular. These things are more scientific than what you can say. Oh, okay, I know a particular person because they can speak 4 language. They are more intelligent and all that. No, I may not be able to say that. All right. So let's move to the next one. So the next one, talks about the magic window. So the first one says sponge model activated. Between ages 4 and 7, your child's brain is at peak neuroplasticity. Let me take that one more time. Between ages 4 and 7, your child's brain is at peak neuroplasticity, meaning they soak up language up to 3 times faster than other kids, right? Yeah, that's from Spelling's app citing Critical Period Neuroscience of 2025 by Johnson and Newport Cognitive Psychology, right? So they said that between ages 4 and 7, your child's brain is at peak neuroplasticity. They soak up language up to 3 times faster than other kids. All right. So about native perfection, it says if they start before age 7, they map the grammar so perfectly, they will sound exactly like they were born speaking it. Yeah. And I think to a large extent, I agree with this, right? Because for someone like me, for an example, I started, I think I mentioned this in the last session that we had that, my parents insisted on us speaking the local language at home. It wasn't a matter of choice. They insisted that we must speak. And so by the time, of course, the community I lived into also aided it because most of the people that I lived with were in that community were speaking the same language. And so when we came out, I played football when I was young, street football and all that. So of course, street football, it was the same language that we were all speaking. It was Yoruba, right? It was the same language we were all speaking. When you wanted to go and buy something from, we always had this iya something, iya that, iya this, meaning the mom of. So when we say iya, meaning the mom of, it's a Yoruba way always of describing parents. Let's say if I give birth to, let's say, Brian, so they call me Baba Brian, meaning the dad of Brian or Brian's dad, right? So it's an identical way. It's something very common with the Yoruba people. So when you hear things like maybe yeah, yeah, maybe Motunrai or something, that means Motunrai's mom, but it's definitely a way of identifying themselves. So I was saying that even when you go out and say you want to get stuff from people from this market with the same language, right? Speak the Yoruba in the entire street, in the entire community. So I think it's true because I know that I became very fluent as far back as age 6, 7. I knew I was already very fluent, at least with the fundamental Yoruba. I said it the last time that, particularly for the Yoruba tribe, it trickles down again to some more deeper languages depending on what part of the Yoruba culture that you come from. So but basically I think I agree with this, and I primarily, of course, is because the child's brain is still very fresh. No, should I, is fresh the right word? I think it's absorbent. Yes, that's the word. Very absorbent, and I think that's why I named that slide the sponge mode. Very absorbent. So I think the more they hear it, you know, and of course, every child desires expression. So the language becomes their tool for expression every single time, basically. So that being said about that, I'll go over the fact again. So between ages 4 and 7, your child's brain is at peak neuroplasticity. They soak up language up to 3 times faster than other kids. If they start before age 7, they map the grammar so perfectly, they will sound exactly like they were born to speak it. And I know that's something you want for your child. I really do. I know that's what you want. All right, let's go up to for the next one. Next one says sharp eyes, faster reflexes. This bilingualism changes how babies actually see the world. Infants exposed to two languages detect visual changes and shift their attention significantly faster than babies who only hear one. So this is actually a very well, I wouldn't know exactly how this was validated, but it's actually again from a study, from a scientific report, and the source is from um, Anglia Ruskin University. I hope I had that rightly pronounced. Anglia Ruskin University, one of their scientific reports, states that bilingualism changes how babies actually see the world. Infants exposed to two languages detect visual changes and shift their attention significantly faster than babies who hear only one language. So that being said about that, let's move on to the next one. All right. So this is proven across 20 plus global studies that the language you teach them today protects them tomorrow. A bilingual brain builds a cognitive reserve that successfully delays the onset of okay, ahism, ahisma symptom by any average age of 5. Okay, I think I have one comment here. Okay, it's gone. No. Okay. I'm not sure if I had that pronounced well. I'm gonna have to learn it after now. I think that's Alzheimer or something. I didn't get that right basically. So that's from Baycrest Rotman research. That a long it says that the child you teach, the language you teach them today protects them tomorrow. A bilingual brain always builds a cognitive reserve. Well, we don't hope. I assume that this may have to do with something that has to do with brain loss, or um, brain damage or something, or memory loss, basically. Memory loss, or basically. So, so what this is saying is that the more languages they know, it just has separate reserves somehow in the brain for for each of the times where the languages is used. So it's like having that drive in your laptop where you have music, pictures, movies. You get something like that basically. So that's basically what this is saying, that having that bilingual experience, it shields, sort of like shields. We don't hope it happens to any child basically, but of course, again, anyone who has such experiences, it's not as though they wished that they should have it. So it really just builds that cognitive reserve basically. So that being said about that, let's move to the next one. The next one says that if a bilingual adult suffers a stroke or brain injury, their brain is literally wired to heal better. They are twice as likely to recover their memory, reasoning, and planning skills compared to monolinguals. Let me go over that one more time. It says if a bilingual adult ever suffers a stroke or brain injury, their brain is literally wired to heal better. They are twice as likely to recover their memory, reasoning, and planning skills compared to monolinguals. All right, that's from a neurobiological. That the source is neurobiology of aging. All right, Ynet News 2025. Um, neurobiology of aging, Ynet News 2025. So yeah, I think basically what every of the facts that I've shared with us today just really makes clear is how learning knowing an extra language just creates that extra reserve where if by any chance any of these sicknesses occur, and then for some reason they they touch the part of the brain, or touch a portion of the brain, the chances of them healing faster is higher than someone who just knows you know one language basically. So I think that'll be all that I have for us for today. So thank you so much again for joining me today. This has been amazing hosting you. I really want to apologize for the bad audio from inception. I never knew that happened. Um, uh, if you're joining us from any part of the world, I'd like you to leave a word in the comment section and let us know exactly where you are joining from. So my name is Busola, and I have been and will continue to be your host on Ashawa. Ashawa means our culture, our heritage. All right, and we'll be doing this for a long I mean, at least for a while, and I will still be here in your faces, sharing facts, that encourages, learning more than one language, learning one's native language. I'll be bringing up some amazing guests as well too along the line who will be sharing their perspective with us on some of all of these things. So please like and share. Someone might need this kind of conversation as well too. Would also appreciate that you leave a comment and subscribe. Turn on your notification bell so you can always know when we are live. And then this is designed to be an interactive session. So prepare your mind as well to always give your feedbacks, your comments. It's very, very much welcome. So thank you so much. It's really been an honor to host you today. I'll see you definitely on Wednesday. And on Wednesday, we're going to be having our first guest ever on our shower. I'll be discussing some very amazing topics that will be very helpful to you. Thank you so much. No, again, this is a shower by Tayari Live, and you can check our website. Let me leave. Um, you can check up our website on. So you could have. I think I'll just leave that here. You could check up our website because we're a language learning platform. Check up our website. Look at what we do. Okay. Look at what we do. And then kind of give us a feedback. I don't think I dropped that accurately. Let me do that one more time. Yeah. Okay, so you should see that any moment from now. So thank you so much for joining again today. It's been an honor hosting you. Like I said, this is our shower, and I'll see you on Wednesday.